the reigning NFC South champions, Carolina Panthers, select Lee Hunter, nose tackle, Texas Tech.
On night 2 of the NFL Draft, Panthers general manager Dan Morgan was up to his old tricks. He wheeled and dealed to get a new nose tackle, and it's the 6'3", 318-pound 23-year-old. An eventful second night from the NFL Draft. We've got it all for you tonight on CSL. I'm Mike Lissette. Thank you so much for being here. Tonight we'll get reaction from Panthers great Al Wallace. Plus we'll also have a look at Monroe Freeling's first day on the job here in Carolina. There's also a big leadership change happening in NASCAR, and as expected, it's bye-bye Boozer for Duke. However, let's first start with the draft. It is tonight's leadoff. Dan Morgan apparently could not wait any longer. Instead of picking 51st overall, he traded that pick as well as the 159th to Minnesota in exchange for the 49th and the 196th pick. Going 2 spots earlier, he went with defensive tackle Lee Hunter. Nicknamed the Fridge, the Alabama native actually played at 3 different schools in college, starting at Auburn before moving on to UCF for 3 years, then spending 1 season this past year with Texas Tech. With the Red Raiders, he was both first-team All-Conference in the Big 12, as well as a first-team All-American. And now that he's playing alongside his idol, Derek Brown, he says he's more than ready to make an impact here in Carolina.
Yeah, I just talked.
Kept saying he was a violent player. You got to like to hear that if you're hoping for an improvement from the defense. More from the draft. You know, we were expecting the Panthers to at some point go after a playmaker. They did in the 3rd round. With the 83rd overall pick, they went with Chris Brazzell from Tennessee. The 6'4" wideout originally started at Tulane, playing there for 2 seasons. He then went to Tennessee, playing his final 2 years with the Vols. This past season, Brazzell finished first-team All-SEC. He had 62 catches for 1,017 yards. Also had 9 touchdowns, too. Head coach Dave Canales says the wide receiver room got a lot more crowded tonight, and he does not see that as a bad thing. And for the second night in a row, we've got first-class reaction from one of the Panthers' all-time greats, the great Al Wallace. Al, thank you so much for coming back.
Always great. Night 2 of the NFL Draft just doesn't get more exciting to see more bodies come off the board for Dave and Dan.
So let's piggyback off of Dave Canales' comments right now in terms of the wide receiving room being a little more crowded. You don't think that's a bad thing, do you?
It is a beautiful thing, and I think you get better in the NFL when you have depth, when you have bodies that can go out and compete through OTAs, through minicamp, and certainly through training camp. They're going to push each other. Those guys are going to compete, and the best 2 or 3 or 4 wide receivers will touch the field on Sundays.
Is he the dynamic playmaker that Carolina was looking for?
He is pure speed defined, and I love it for the Carolina Panthers and for Bryce Young that they now have the threat to take everything away from T-Mac and the rest of the guys. You can't double anybody with that type of sub 4.4 speed on the field.
I want to look at Carolina's decision to move up in the draft. I think that's something that caught a lot of people by surprise. Did you like that move? It was just 2 spots.
Yeah, I like that move. When you have conviction, and that's the word Dave and Dan are going to always use, you move up. You don't wait around for a guy that you feel that definitively about. You go up and you get Brazzell, and you make sure that he's a Carolina Panther.
Well, hopefully those 2 new Panthers will feel as welcome in Carolina as Monroe Freeling did earlier today. The Panthers' first-round pick was officially introduced at the bank this afternoon. Casey Funderburg has more on the festivities.
Well, the Panthers got their...
Thank you so much, Casey. This is what the Panthers are currently working with for the rest of the draft. They have 2 picks in round 5. Round 4 will be 119. Round 5 picks are no longer back-to-back after they traded it earlier tonight. Panthers go at 158 and 196 now. Lucky number 200 is the final pick on the books. ... For now. Al Wallace rejoining us right now. Where do you see them attacking tomorrow?
Yeah, I think it's just wide open. They've done such a great job so far through free agency and the first 2 days of the draft that Dan Morgan and Dave Canales can kind of sit back and see how that board unfolds and who's the best player available. You're working with that depth. You're building just true roster building for Dave and Dan right now, and they can just they could just go out and get good football players.
I do have to ask you, we talked about them needing a tight end going into the draft. Are you concerned that position is no longer theirs for the taking based on what's available?
There was a run there in the second and third rounds on those great tight ends, those middle round tight ends. But I think if you can find one, you certainly bring in as many bodies as you can to compete. It's about competition. It's about the depth on that roster, and they're doing a great job so far this weekend.
How likely is it we see another move from Dan Morgan here?
I think Dan is always willing and dealing. That phone is always open, and if he can make a deal, get some more picks, he will.
Al's going to rejoin us coming up later in Quick Six, so don't go anywhere, okay?
Gotcha.
You're stuck here for a little bit. Switch to NASCAR now.